Hello, everyone. Welcome to the May edition of the San Francisco Nonprofit User Group. Today's topic is doing more with less, how the Rito Maioha transform their online experience with StoreConnect and Salesforce. So today we've got Alissa from Rito Maioha and Mikel from StoreConnect to walk us through StoreConnect and how they've used it in their businesses and organizations. So with that, I'll let you both take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessica. And hello, everyone. My name is Mikel Lindsaar. I'm from StoreConnect. And joining me is the incredible Alissa Monty. And I'll just make sure that you saw her there. She's amazing. So Alissa and uh, I run a software company called StoreConnect, as you probably guessed from the way that the introduction was done. And StoreConnect is a platform that Alissa has used within Rito Maioha to build out their whole nonprofit experience for their members. And I'm going to sort of jump around in this today. We're going to ask Alissa a whole bunch of questions, and we'll probably start off on that. But before I go into that, I just want to give you a bit of a concept of what it is we're talking about, right? So if I jump to this page, you'll see their website. This is Early Childhood New Zealand. Now, one of the challenging things you'll have reading this website, if you're not bilingual in Maori, is that half of it's written in Maori. So that's what this other language is. And the whole thing is built completely running on top of Salesforce and StoreConnect. So this entire website is actually a StoreConnect website. It's not Experience Cloud, it's not WordPress, it's not anything like that. And we can go and look at various things and click around on this website and find different parts of content and different situations and being able to log in and look at different areas of information and even go in and buy books and stuff, which I'll give a bit more of a demo as we move through. But this whole website, one of the things you'll notice is that we're not changing URLs as we're jumping around from the e-commerce store, being able to find things in different regions, to the content store where I think, Alissa, how many thousand pages did you guys migrate into this?
Oh, I'm not sure on the numbers of pages in total, but there's a lot. There's a
Yeah,
lot of
there's
pages.
a lot. So, as you're clicking around this, the long-time Salesforce people in the room, one of the most common questions we get asked when we're demonstrating StoreConnect is, how did you make Experience Cloud so fast? And the answer basically is, well, we didn't, because we don't use it. So StoreConnect doesn't actually run on Experience Cloud, but it is a full e-commerce and full content management system. And what I'll do is, after we have a chat with Alissa on how and what happened with this website, I'll then do a bit of a demo. You can see all my tabs up here in the browser. These are all StoreConnect websites, and I'll go through and show some of the different examples, but then also really dive into the back end and show, how would you update some content and how can you play with this from a business point of view, because it's really quite powerful how much you can save, really, for a nonprofit. And I have a couple of slides that I'll just sort of hammer home a couple of points and then dive all over the demo. But honestly, Alissa and I have already had a good chat about all of this. So if you have any questions, just throw them up in the chat, ask away. I'll keep my eye on that, and more than willing to answer questions as we go. Hold them to the end. I'll stick around, and yeah, we can dive into it. Nonprofits are very close to my heart. I'm wearing my nonprofit pin here. And I've been working myself in the nonprofit space. Before I started StoreConnect, I did, I think, 11, it was 10 and a half something years of volunteering for a nonprofit where I actually didn't get paid a wage. I was actually just volunteering, and my housing and accommodation was looked after for a whole decade. So it's very close to my heart, and I'm very aware of the challenges that nonprofits run into, which, while at a superficial level they're the same as commercial, there's a very, very, very explicit and different nuance around what you can do and what you end up having as a solution. So let's enough from me. Let's talk to Alissa. One of the favorite things I like about Alissa is on the case study that she did for us, and I just laughed when I watched this. There's a case study here, and in this YouTube video, she just goes, in her amazing accent, StoreConnect's a beast. So, I mean, Alissa, tell me a little bit about. I've been really practicing to pronounce this correctly for all last night to Rito Maioha, and
Nailed it.
that some of the Maioha and some of the challenges, like what got you, what's the mission? What are you trying to do? It's early childhood, but what does that actually mean? What are you trying to do for the community?
I think I'll pull it back to when I started with them. First of all, as Mikel's mentioned, I am the marketing advisor at Rito Maioha. So I started working with them because they actually make a difference in the world. A lot of organizations claim they make a difference, but it's quite hard to see the tangibles of it. Whereas with us, you can actually see the tangibles. So people will come towards us and look to study to specialize in early childhood education. And from there, once they graduate and become alumni, they can join our membership program and they can get the advocacy done on their part as well. And they can join that space. So I joined them predominantly for that reason. So the aim that we want, as we state clearly in the mission, is to ignite every child's potential as they grow up. We realize and recognize that, every child's potential is ignited from the very early points of their lives, not later in life when they've grown up and got a degree and off they go. So we need great teachers in order to do that from the get-go. So that's what we do. We just want to, improve the world, make a huge difference.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, even the name, right? It's talking about one of the most famous flowers over in New Zealand, and they're nurturing that and growing it. And it's really about that sort of the heart of the family and all this sort of stuff. I find it fascinating when you dive into the name of an organization like that and really get the crux of it. So are you delivering courses and selling materials, and like what sort of services do you actually offer?
So we offer full 3-year degrees. We offer level 5 programs, which people come in and complete, which if you go to the study options per se, and just hover over it, the study options tab, you will see the list of programs that we have. Second one?
All of these? Second one?
No, so who we are, study options.
Here we are. Sorry.
Then study options.
Yep.
So those are all the programs we offer. So you've got, your undergraduates, you've got your postgrads, you've got your masters. So essentially, those are the types of products we offer on the student side of things. But when, if you're out there in the world and you're already a professional teacher, you're teaching, you're registered and all, if you want to keep growing your knowledge, because we believe in lifelong learning, you can go to the section called professional development, and those are short tailored courses for you to do in your spare time. And even there, you can also buy books and merchandise to stay, connected with us. And then same as well, membership as well also has their own benefits where you can get access to research libraries and so much more to help your centers.
Yeah, nice. And one of the things Laura just said is this whole website on StoreConnect. And I mean, the answer is yes, but tell me a little bit about what your experience was for your members before you switched over to this.
So it wasn't great, I'll tell you that. It was built on IMIS, so our users needed to log into 2 different areas in order to get to the website, in order to access resources. So most of the time you would find that our users actually did not even want to go to the second login, or they struggled to even get to the resources. They would, email us, because everyone likes, I know I'm speaking for myself predominantly, I like seamless, easy, quick access to things when I want something. So with them, they struggled. And when we would go back and say, you have to do it this way, that way you'd get a form of resentment and frustration. Like, why is it so hard? And things like that. Or they can't even find the relevant information they need. So with StoreConnect, the beauty there is that now we have a single login and everything is available to you.
You actually do it. Yeah, so that really simplifies it. But your login is with Experience Cloud SSO, isn't it? Like if I actually go, let me just show the team. If we click in here and log in, you'll see that we're actually redirecting to an Experience Cloud site.
Yes.
So StoreConnect can either just provide the login credentials directly, or it can go via a Experience Cloud site or something similar. Let me just, I'll just sign in here. So this is all happening through Salesforce Experience Cloud, and that's fully configured, and then we're going back to StoreConnect. So that means you're able to manage all of your users within that central hub, and if you do need to give them access to Salesforce, it's not yet another login, right?
Yes, it's all one succinct, and everything, the beauty is it tracks all the way back in the backend. So like you've logged in on that side, I can go back in the backend and see my activity on my profile, what I've done today. Yeah. And if you've got an issue, someone can't log in, you can track and see how the account was created, where the problem happened, how, and then you can, troubleshoot from there.
Yeah. One of the things that my clients have mentioned in nonprofit area is that ability to either manage it, like you can manage it within StoreConnect and not have the Experience Cloud. So one of the key points, I guess, at this point is that StoreConnect doesn't actually require any Experience Cloud. So if you have a nonprofit Salesforce org, like P10 licenses, you have all the licensing you need to launch StoreConnect. So you can run your whole website and everything straight off it. But the fact that all of that is managed within Salesforce, so either you're going to be resetting a password, you could tick a checkbox in StoreConnect to get that password resent, or if you're hooked into Experience Cloud, you can use all the Salesforce tools around that for your user management and just have that central spot. So having that option, a lot of our clients have really appreciated that because, they might not have an Experience Cloud site, or maybe they already do and they've already got thousands of people signing in, and then what do you do with that? You don't want to send everyone a new email again. I mean, Alissa, I don't know, this is a question without notice. How many systems do you think you've actually managed to turn off or get rid of? Was it just the main content management site because everything else sort of plugged in seamlessly, or did you end up saving time or money?
I think would save time. Time is definitely on our side now. And then in terms of how many systems did we get rid of, the main one was iMiss and potentially all the plugins that it came with. So because when I came in, I did not need to learn the old system because I was more focused on the new system. I didn't really dive into that side of things. But from my understanding of people previously working in iMiss, there was a lot of plugins just to get simple things done.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was talking to another nonprofit yesterday that said after they moved to StoreConnect, they turned off 20 SaaS subscriptions, which was just mind blowing to me, because they had a Shopify store and it had like 10 or 12 plugins, and they had this membership site with another couple of plugins, and then they had the data connector that hooked all those things together that someone had to monitor, and then this and this and this and this and this. One of the things that I noticed when I just logged in there, I don't know if the people on the chat also noticed, but all of these went from login required to free, or they went to a price. So talk to me a little bit about that. So your members have different pricing according to which membership and things, or is it more just a single layer of if you're logged in, you can buy, and if you're not, you can't?
So this website has two abilities. So if you're a member, you can still access resources, but you don't get the member pricing for it. So there's a member price book. So right. For me, you've logged in as a member, you've got the member pricing. But if you were not a member, but you had an account with us, you would get a different set of pricing.
Right.
So that's what's happened there. So all those $35, $10, those are the member pricing. So what happens is your login at the top, even though the navigation still looks the same, that will tell you what you can and cannot do.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And all of that pricing detail, how do you go about changing that? So you've just got a product and then multiple price books?
Yeah, so it's all set up in Salesforce as well. Depending on what type of membership you have, you'd get a specific ability in the back to do what you need to do on the front.
Yeah. And to talk to that a little bit, you can also specify based on that with the different price books per member or per group, or even down to a single account. You can also add and remove products from that and change. You might not even get to see a product because your price book doesn't include that product in your access, right? Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your journey, because you did just touch on it there, that you weren't actually involved very much in the old system, and then suddenly you're managing StoreConnect. I mean, you're obviously, a 20-year Salesforce admin veteran to be able to pull all this together and keep it all running?
I wish I was. So I started with Rito Maioha last year in Jan. So I've been there for about a year and a couple, 5 months now, I reckon. So I started from scratch. I had no knowledge, no experience. The only experience I potentially had was building a website for a different organization, from scratch, but that was on a platform we all know, which is WordPress. So I came in confident with the knowledge of, oh yeah, I know how to build a website, I know how to create a user experience, I'm good on that side. But the real challenge I had was to learn StoreConnect. But to me, all the doubts and fears of learning something new instantly washed away when I really understood StoreConnect and how they work with Salesforce in the back end. So that wasn't a challenge at all. It was just my fears and my doubts playing in my mind. But then I jumped in and everything was smooth. So I found, because we were moving to from an old system to a new one, there was no need to learn the old one. So from scratch, I learned StoreConnect inside out. And I feel like maybe now I can call myself a Salesforce and StoreConnect user, maybe. Just maybe.
Just maybe.
Yeah.
Well, I think you run the most complex content management system we have on StoreConnect. I mean, we have a lot of sites built on StoreConnect that are content management systems. I mean, our own getstoreconnect.com website is probably close to in terms of just volume, but you guys use all of the features, and it really is quite amazing. I mean, even down to this site search, that's also powered by StoreConnect and all the data within your Salesforce org, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So there's a couple abilities in there that we actually use, which diving deeper. Like you said, we do use a lot from StoreConnect. We have geolocation, which is fantastic.
What do you use that for?
So we have 11 regional education centers across New Zealand, from North Island to South Island. And when a student comes to us, or an international student or domestic student, they need to understand the geographical boundaries of New Zealand. So in order to find us, let's say you look at it in Auckland, but you want to access our centers, it helps to know where you are or what's the closest one. Right. So if I'm in Wellington, I would type in, postcode, and it will pop up. And then I get the address immediately, contact information, directions, and so on and so forth. And then I can even get the Facebook page. So that's how we've managed to tailor it to pop back to Facebook. And that's fantastic. So if you wanted to see that, you can go to who we are in the navigation, and then our locations.
And this whole location site is also, hang on, I just have to accept the allow using. This is all built into StoreConnect too, right?
Yes.
And then if we put a postcode in here, what's a postcode that?
Let's say you go, I'm just going to pick a very basic one at the very top, 6011. And
Sorry,
that's Wellington.
I don't know my New Zealand postcodes very well.
That's all right. So that's Wellington. I picked that because I live in Wellington. So essentially there you click into show details, and it will give you everything, to the point that we've even been able to add a map.
Nice. And for the people on the chat, all of this information here, this is all pulling directly from the account record of this location. So if they went into their Salesforce org and modified the address on the account and hit save, this map, the address, the card, everything would update within seconds across the whole platform.
Precisely.
And that probably just reduces just time to market and getting all that stuff done, right?
It does, because I don't have to go in multiple areas. I just go in one area and the whole thing changes. Which is the beauty of it, because you don't have to keep, how some people keep track of, where did I put this information when I do that? It all ties back in, and it makes life easy when you update in one location, and it does it in 2 or 5 other places.
Yeah. One of my favorite questions to ask people is, how many single sources of truth do you have? And quite often the answer is not one, which becomes the tautology or the oxymoron, right? But so you literally run this whole site from Salesforce. You're not logging into anything else. You're just in Sales Cloud all day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. No, that's really, really good. How did you go about learning StoreConnect? Tell me a little bit about that journey.
I think it all stems with the person as well. Give me a new tool and I'm eager to dive in and find out how to work it. But obviously there were roadblocks along the way, I won't lie. And for me, it was more about the connection I had at StoreConnect and the efficiency of the team at StoreConnect. So I did have the help of a developer, my right-hand man, I like to call him. And if I did something, because I have a little bit of knowledge of coding as well. So if I did something, in a markdown, which Salesforce recognizes, or HTML, but markdown works better, just FYI. And I ran into an issue, then I'd, reach out and say, this is the problem that I'm having. And they would instantly, be more than willing to jump on a call and be like, oh, what's the problem? How do we get it sorted? Because I found that they rather help you than you sit there and not be in the know. Like I had an issue earlier this week and I just reached out and within minutes I just had a response and they're already diving into the issue. So aside from learning from the developer that was with me on this project, it was also helpful to go into Trailblazer and learn myself and find out more information. Yeah. A lot of self-taught, but supplements from wherever I can get the help.
And I can't remember, you've finished our certification courses, right?
I'm on my way to finishing the first one that I really want to finish. Because this was such a big project last year, I haven't had the time to get my full certificates of what I want. But I'm still working towards my ones, yeah.
So just for the room, we have this StoreConnect Academy. I'll just put it in the chat. But these are 3 courses that this first course, StoreConnect Fundamentals, you actually spin up a sandbox or a scratch org, you install StoreConnect, and by the end of it, you have a functioning StoreConnect website that you can actually do a credit card purchase on all the way through. And the administrator then walks you through every feature of StoreConnect, and the theme developer teaches you how to do design and HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all that sort of thing. What would you, Alissa, before I dive into a bit of a demo and look around, obviously you'll still be here if there are any questions specifically for you from the group, but what would you say to one of the nonprofits looking towards this as a possible solution? Like, why would they even bring it up with their management teams? Because obviously, as you said, it's not like it's rainbows and unicorns, you turn this on and it all just works, right? There is significant effort in migrating and doing all that sort of stuff. So how would you go about talking about it, looking at it from now where you are compared to where you were?
I would say, I'll start off by saying we did not migrate. So the IMS system we had before was quite older, and it didn't allow us to export our data to put it into StoreConnect. But that's not StoreConnect's fault. That's the platform's issue. So majority of what you see on the website is built from scratch. Every single page on this website is built from scratch. So if I was able to not have the knowledge, not have a migration package ready for me to just push it through and then clean it up, I would say if I can do it, anyone can do it. So when you're thinking of how to present this or how to move forward, just remember me, because it was just a case of learning it. And if I could learn it and I had a time pressure cooker on of about 6 to 7 months to get it out the door, and I made it happen, that should show you how much of an easy platform it is to learn if I was able to deliver this heavy website in such a short time frame.
This actually wasn't your job, right?
Yeah, so I was tasked for it away from the marketing side of things, which is what I live and breathe. This became my project for the full 8 to 7 months.
Wow. Yeah. Look, thank you so much, Alissa. It was great getting those answers out of you. If there are any questions that come to you while I'm doing a demo for Alissa, please throw them in the chat and I'll stop and we'll ask Alissa. She's giving us her time and she's amazing. So yeah, I think one other thing that's interesting here is you'll see down the bottom the whole cookie banner stuff. Normally this would be a whole plugin that you would have to add to a website depending on locations. This is all just built into StoreConnect as well. So being able to, and this is all clicks and configuration, not code. There was code in terms of the design, but we separate the design and the content. So they're 2 very different things, and then everyone's just managing content. So this is all clicks, not code, and allows you to, be compliant across all of that. In terms of compliance, StoreConnect is SOC 2 Type 2, ISO 27001, GDPR, and in about a week we'll be HIPAA compliant. So all the things, which is really cool, and one of the few products that actually does all of that on the App Exchange. And the other interesting thing, I don't know how many GovCloud people are on here, is we're one of the few, if only, products that runs on GovCloud. So if you are a nonprofit that's running on GovCloud, it works seamlessly with that, and we have quite a few government clients for that reason. But let me show you a couple of things here. No, yeah. So one of the things that I realized when I was starting to work with StoreConnect is nonprofits have two constraints, and this is what I was alluding to before. You as a group have all the same problems that commercial organizations have, which is money, but probably the bigger one that you have is time of your members and the shareholders and the stakeholders, because many nonprofits are actually built and run by the volunteers. And that's a real challenge when you're having to choose. If you have both of those constraints, that can become a real problem. So what quite often happens is just picking the next best thing, right? So you're going, okay, I need a blah, and you plug in this little app and you put it in, and then you go add this, and then you add that, and you end up with this, right? Every nonprofit I've shown this to tends to smile and nod and agree. And this is where that craziness comes from. So we think that you've probably got better things to do with your time, and that what is a simple solution around that. The problem is that there's so many choices out there that you don't know where to start. So what we did was we thought of an ideal scene, and we wanted to create a system that could do everything on this page out of one platform. And this is actually what StoreConnect can do. You can manage all of your orders and everything from Salesforce. You can run an online store and a website like we just showed with early childhood, but you can also run a point of sale system straight out of StoreConnect as well, and it's included. So for example, if Alissa wants to go to a trade show where they want to sign up people then and there with a credit card in New Zealand, they can actually use our point of sale to do that. Alissa, you just unmuted. Did you want to add something to that? Or
I think the key thing is, for example, for our conference, just to highlight the abilities that we have, we were able to set up an event in the back end and actually ask people for their dietary requirement. So that was quite interesting to be able to do it on the platform, aside from, we get the jot form once the person's registered, then get them to put their dietary requirements and then go from there. It was all done in StoreConnect and Salesforce.
And one of the interesting things about that is during that checkout, you're capturing those dietary requirements. That can then be saved onto that contact record, so you don't have to ask that person again. Like, that data is now in Salesforce. It's not sitting off on a Google form somewhere, which can be, pretty wild. One of the questions that just came in is, can you sell digital items? Yeah, absolutely. And I'll actually do a demo of a full checkout in a minute, showing both physical, digital, and also purchasing via rewards points. And we'll do an entire checkout and show how that works, as well as donations and so on. But having all of those items in one system, all for the one price, makes things really powerful. So we do everything in this circle. So it's a full e-commerce platform, both virtual and physical, and a donation platform. We do content management, point of sale, multiple storefronts in multiple currencies. So if you have your organization in the US, but you also want to go into Canada or down south or across the borders, you can. Shipping and inventory support, so tracking those physical products with integrations with other providers like ShipStation, ShipEasy. Tax calculations, not a big deal for nonprofits, but sometimes it is. Sometimes there's a taxable component of what you're selling, and being able to hook that into things like Avalara and other platforms is all supported. Appointments and bookings, so booking in for a consultation or an appointment where you've got a meeting and a time slot, and a full rewards and loyalty platform. So as people are purchasing things on your website, they can earn points, but then they can also redeem those points for items. One of the questions was, can the event information connect to campaigns? Yeah, totally. So what happens is when that event gets created, it's on an order record. You could then allocate that. You'd probably do a flow or a trigger on the order record to hook it in appropriately, but you can totally hook it into any object in Salesforce, because StoreConnect just reads and writes to Salesforce. So it's not like it, if you were plugging in, say, a Shopify org or even a B2C commerce, if you had the money to do a full Commerce Cloud site, you're still only getting things like abandoned cart synchronization and things like that happening once a day or maybe 3 times a day or whatever. StoreConnect is constantly reading and writing directly into Salesforce. And
can I jump in there for a minute?
Yeah, go for it.
The answer is yes, you can, because if you have StoreConnect and all the data that's going through, you set up your trigger, it talks to Marketing Cloud directly. So from your Marketing Cloud, that is where your campaign will be triggered, because that's what we do for our students who are coming in. They fill in the form in StoreConnect, the data is collected, that data is shipped off to Marketing Cloud, and then from there, they join a journey of emails. And then that's the campaign beginning.
Yeah, nice.
Mm.
And that's exactly the next slide. So, Alissa, I didn't even know you knew my slides. Yeah, because everything's in Salesforce, it just works,
Yeah.
which is, fantastic. Cool. So let's do a demo. So as we said, for example, that's the pricing page. It's all on our website, actually. I may as well just show you that because I'm sure someone's going to ask me at some point. Most of our clients are somewhere around here, 10 to 20 grand a year per org. This is not per user licensing. And nonprofits get a 10% discount on this. We do have a really, really cheap plan at 3,000. That's a lot more for self-service for people that are really confident with the platform and can bang it out. But most of our clients are somewhere around here. So that with 10% off is just under 9,000, just under 10,000, and that's just over 20. And that's how we hang with our clients. We have signed up over 200 partners worldwide. So the partner that you work with is, 100 partners worldwide. The partner that you work with is probably in here somewhere. And if not, you can introduce them to us and we'll get them certified very quickly. But yeah, this whole website is StoreConnect. Everything on this is built on StoreConnect in Salesforce, the whole thing, all of these images, everything, it's all there. And one of the questions that I get asked from admins is, but how do you handle the API usage with Salesforce? What happens if we get 100,000 orders for our next course or donations? Is it just going to stop because it hits an API limit? Well, the cool thing is StoreConnect uses exactly 0 API requests into Salesforce at any one time. So all of our stuff's done via the streaming API. So there is no impact on your API usage whatsoever. And it's all sub-second, updates either way. We've also built this long comparison slide. If you do have Shopify or you are looking at Commerce on Core and things like that, we've gone through and updated this whole list. If you find anything wrong with this, we do ask, please let us know. We've really tried hard to make this an accurate list. But as you can see, there's a lot of green ticks and a lot of dollar signs next to Shopify. And this is really the hidden cost of doing something like this on Salesforce with tools like Shopify or BigCommerce, is that there's a lot of things that you have to still buy, and they're all add-ons. And every one of those plugins has full access to your member data. So, if they have a breach, that's all of your member data gone. So there's a lot of all of these SaaS products also you have to think with in terms of security. So let me show you a few websites built on StoreConnect. So everything I'm showing you here is all 100% StoreConnect. They're not all necessarily nonprofits, but we have different clients doing different things. These guys do skincare, nutrition, motor oil, and cleaning products. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not going to buy my vitamin E cream from a company that sells drain cleaner. It's not going to happen. They figured that out as well. So they launched this website, and this is their Grace Cosmetics store. This is running on the same StoreConnect license and the same Salesforce org as the first one. And this is just limiting the product selection to a certain category, much more appealing to the target demographic. So this is a very interesting use case where you can have multiple websites on different things. One of our clients, 6 United Ways, who are a very big nonprofit in the US, they're launching, I think their plan is to launch over 500 co-branded websites with all of their donation partners. So every donation partner gets their own website with their own URL, with their own logo and their own text, and they can manage all of that by letting that partner log into their Experience Cloud site and directly edit StoreConnect records, right? So they're able to not only build 500 websites through screen flows and automations. So, when they get a new client, they could create a screen flow which grabs their logo and their information and the content, which products they want to sell, and go through a whole flow and hit done. And then at the end, bam, there's a site produced. Not only can they do that, because StoreConnect's all built off records, but they're able to do this out of one Salesforce org with a very small admin team. We have, quite a lot of quite large clients and different clients around the world. And every website I'm showing you here is 100% built on StoreConnect. This is a really cool one, Care Australia. They built this website themselves. This was all done internally by Care Australia. And one of the things that they do is they sell gifts. Now, if you're ever at a loss on what to buy, so Jessica, when Gordon's birthday comes up and you don't know what to get him, come in here and buy him a goat. So you can just donate. This is Australian dollars too, so it's a discount for US. I think it's like $30 US. So you can either get a printed card. So this is quite a complex problem. And this talks to that virtual question. A printed card is obvious. We're going to post a printed card to Jessica. So during the checkout, we're going to get a shipping address. We'll post off that printed card. Or she can just make a donation. So, just a one-off donation. I want to get a goat for someone. Or she can get an e-card. Now, the problem with an e-card is it's a virtual product, but we also have to capture a whole heap of information. And this is what Alissa was talking about with her dietary requirements. So in StoreConnect, you can ask these sorts of questions on any product or any checkout, or even just as a form by itself. This is not form assembly or any other plugin. This is native to StoreConnect. And you can even do things like file uploads or whatever you need, right? This can be done on a per product level or also at a per checkout level, or it can just be a series of forms. Like you could have not connected to a checkout whatsoever. You just have, question set 1 going to question set 2 and moving through with complex logic in between. Now, one of the benefits of that is if anyone's ever embedded an Experience Cloud Lightning Web Component on their website and then gone to do that form and log in, you click on the link and the page loads, and what do you get? The spinner as it loads up from Salesforce. These forms are basically instantaneous. So it just increases that whole user experience. This is a very, very small company in the US. They do child sponsorship. So all of this is done through StoreConnect, all of the subscription management, recurring billing. This is $40 every month. This content, uploading the image, all of that's managed through Salesforce. As another note, we don't actually save any of the images within Salesforce because we love your data allocation usage and we don't want to cost you a lot of money. So when you upload an image into StoreConnect, we actually take that and put it onto a content delivery network on your behalf, and we manage that for you. So you're not having to store that image in Salesforce. Surf Life Saving Australia, these guys are the inspiration for the original Baywatch. And they do a whole heap of things from training courses to defibrillators. So this is an event that they're purchasing. Again, this is all out of the box type stuff. So if we selected this date, there's nothing available. We can skip forward or skip back, find the right dates. We can narrow it down to a location. There's nothing there. We'll go to that location, find that, buy it, add to cart. All of this is clicks, not code, right? This is all out of the box. But then they also sell defibrillators. They sell physical equipment. So we can come in here and look at one of these defibrillators, and it's got a whole bundle where we're selecting different types of items and adding them to cart. All of that's possible as well. And then we have a community education type website. This is Rock Valley. This whole website is StoreConnect. And being able to go in and, I want to learn auto safety, and signing up for a short course and a professional development type course. And of course, the one that I picked in the demo doesn't have any products. So I'll go to another one. Being able to go in here and find a course, adding that to cart, do a sign up. They massively increase their enrollments by just making it easy for people to enroll. And that's one of the key things with StoreConnect is you want to remove friction from interest to money, right? In a nonprofit, you want to make that as easy as possible because it's already hard enough to get the interest. You don't want to make it harder to get the money at the other end. Cool. Let me just do a checkout. I'll show you what it looks like, hey? So here we are with our demo store. This is one of our demo stores. I'm actually logged in here, but we could also jump to our nonprofit demo store. So if we went to the nonprofit one, this is on the same Salesforce org and the same StoreConnect environment. So we've got two different types of sites, simple web to lead form embedded down here, but this could be a complex application process. All of this content, everything is in Salesforce. If I wanted to edit this text here, I could go and jump into our Salesforce org and go and search for it. I've never searched for that. There you go. It actually worked. What do you know? So I can come in here and find that, and I can come in and I can edit this. I'm really proud to be part of this, and save that. And that's now going to update that website in, a few seconds and go live. This is a complete, donation type website. We can have different types of supporter tools, and, we might want to put $100 in the cart there, and maybe we want to go through and do that checkout straight away. We could also go to the donation site and put a yearly amount of, say, $123 and add that to the cart. Or we can even do one-time things. Now, one of the interesting things with the one-time page here is, you see we've got this going down the bottom. So we can actually support things like peer-to-peer fundraising. But how is this actually set up? This is set up through some custom fields in Salesforce. So if we go into this product within the StoreConnect environment and open it up over here, you'll see that what we've got under content is we've got these two fields. Now, these are not installed as part of StoreConnect. These are just literally funding amount _C and funding goal _C. So they're two values that we are updating through our own logic in Salesforce. So if we want to go in and change the funding amount or the funding goal, we could just come in here and change that to 2 million and hit save. And within a few seconds, that's going to synchronize and go and update the website. Similarly, this funded amount is being calculated through an unofficial SF plugin that allows you to do calculated roll-up summaries on the order records. So every time someone makes a donation, both in Salesforce or StoreConnect, like say someone takes it over the phone, this amount's going to be updated regardless of where that donation's coming from. Now, if we go back to the website over here and reload this page, you'll see that this has now got a 2 million goal, right? So all of that is live updating in both directions. So again, we can put in, an amount into that. We can go and buy different items. So we'll go get our Steve mascot plushie. Now, this is very important. Steve rocks. So Steve is our plushie. He's every customer gets a Steve. I'm not saying that's why you should buy StoreConnect, but I don't know, man. He's pretty cute. He even has his little, hoodie that comes off, so you can go ghetto. So that's Steve. We can add him to the cart. Now you can see here that he's either points or cash. So we can buy him with points during the checkout process, and I'll demonstrate that in a minute. And we might want to buy a gift card. So you can buy vouchers, gift cards, virtual gift cards, all sorts of different things, and give that to someone that they could then donate to the charity of their choice. So this could be interesting for some organizations where they might buy a donation amount, say $500, to give to their friend or family member. That family member can then come and choose which project or donation they wanted to donate using that credit, right? So this is for organizations with lots of different things and you don't know what you're actually going to buy. And then we'll go and buy an event. So we'll go book into a consultation of some sort and we'll go and add that to the basket. You'll notice that here it says basket and on the other pages it says cart. That's because you have full control of the translations and language used on the site. So here we are. We want to use points for Steve, not cash. And this is a pretty complex cart. We've got a physical product that we're buying with points. We've got a donation, paying what you want. We've got a book into the webinar. We've got a gift card. We've got a yearly membership and a monthly membership and a one-time membership. And that's all happening in one checkout. Now, you look at that and go, that's pretty complex, but you could actually have this running for your org in one day. Like everything, nothing in that is custom code. That is all just knowing what to configure on the site, right? Obviously, if you were trained, you could do it in one day. It'll take a bit longer otherwise. Here I am at checkout. I'm already signed in. All of this information is being pulled directly from my Salesforce record. I can click and collect via our point of sale system, or I can do shipping. And that's automatically worked out who I'm shipping it to and where. Terms and conditions, you don't have to show it, you can, and it can also update because all of this is dynamic against what's in the cart. And then in this case, we're just going to do a credit card purchase, but you could do ACH, Apple Pay, Google Pay, all the various pays, and go through and do that checkout. So we're going to finish that checkout. That's now going to sign us into the dashboard. We've got our reference number here. We can see all of our previous orders. We can see all of our recurring donations. And you'll notice in the other websites that will say subscriptions, for example. So being able to edit all of this, and everything on this website is 100% just HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Liquid. Now, one of the things there, Liquid is the same templating language that Shopify uses. We chose that very much on purpose because in order to manage a StoreConnect website, you then don't have to hire a Lightning Web Components developer, which are quite expensive and hard to get. You just need someone who's ever done a Shopify website, and you all know someone that's done a Shopify website, right? You probably all have nephews and nieces that have built their own Shopify store to sell Minecraft or what have you. So it's a very accessible skill set to get into. So that transaction's done, we can go and find it. So there it is, it's already in Salesforce. So we'll just pull it up in Salesforce. And this is using the standard order record. It's got all of this content in here, what payments will be made. We can see some of our account points, the shipments that are required, all the subscriptions that have been signed up. So these are the annual and recurring subscriptions, and monthly or daily or weekly. You can specify any term. You can come in here and change these. These can also be fixed term and things like that. But then also we could go to our point of sale system, and we're at a trade show and we're going to buy some items. So we're going to buy a Steve and an event ticket and a book and a bottle and a card. And we add that to Mikel as well, because he's a member. And we go and do the checkout. You know, maybe he pays us $100 in cash or $50 in cash. And then we need to take the balance with a tap to pay card terminal and charge that and put that through. We have that order number now. Now, a couple of cool things. This store is actually hooked up to our normal store. So if I go to our normal non-profit store and go to orders on that, when it signs in, there's the point of sale order right there that we just made on the point of sale system. So as a customer, I can see that point of sale system order instantly in my own customer record. And then if we jump into Salesforce and search for it, there's the order that we just placed at the trade show via the point of sale system straight into Salesforce. So all of this is fully 100% integrated in Salesforce, which means obviously that if we come in here and we do a refresh on a dashboard, all of this is up to date with all the current sales across point of sale, online store, everything across all of StoreConnect and Salesforce. So yeah, it's a pretty massive system. We have a huge amount of videos that teach you to do all the various little things here on our YouTube channel. We'll put that in the chat as well. We have our support dashboard. Oops, there we go. What is happening? Pause that. Support. Our support site is over at support@getstoreconnect.com. And that also has, you know, how do I do payments? We have a little friendly Steve AI down here. He's actually really good. I've been putting him through his paces. He introduces himself as the trainee AI assistant. But he's cute, he's awesome, and he gets most of his questions right, which I'm pretty impressed by. And then we have our training courses here at StoreConnect Academy. Literally, you are able to do these. Now, these are not multiple choice questions. The way this works is you spin up a Scratch org, you install StoreConnect, and you invite our support team into that Scratch org. And then as you do the steps of the course, they log into your Scratch org and check to make sure you've done it right. But what that also means is, say that you're doing a step and you want to ask a question or deep dive down a certain feature, you can just get into a two-way conversation with your instructor and get that answer. As opposed to, you know what it's like when you're doing a multi-choice thing, you get to the end and you go, yeah, but how do I do blah? You know, it just wasn't quite answered, right? Because otherwise it would be millions of lines long. So this is how we handle it. You're actually getting live one-on-one training with our academy. So we've had about 400 or 500 people get certified now around the world. So we get a lot of rave feedback on that. So feel free to ask questions on that. One other thing that I do want to call out is Genevieve. She just unmuted herself, but yeah, Genevieve, go ahead.
I was going to say, Laura has a question for you in the chat. Software
Laura,
compliance
let me have a look.
with SCA protocols.
Available in the EU. Oh, putting me on the spot. The answer is most likely, but I would have to check with my security and compliance officer. So Laura, if you want to send a one-on-one directly to Genevieve and just give her your email, we can follow up with that directly. I'll get the answer from my security compliance.
Okay, sure. Yeah, this just has to do with like currencies like the euro and Swiss francs, the
Yeah. So one of the
strong
cool things
customer
about
authentication or whatever.
Yeah, right. So one of the cool things about the way StoreConnect works is we have payment providers. This is something that almost no e-commerce platform can do. So if you go into our payment providers, you might have this. Where's a good example of that? This company here, so SellAid, right? So these guys sell in Australia, and you'll notice there's no cookie banner down the bottom on this. And if we go to the shop, we'll see that it's all in Australian dollars. My internet's having fun trying to do everything at once. I'm on Starlink at the moment, which is crazy. So this is all in Australian dollars. But then if we go to Europe and we change to the European org, if I click that correctly, that would always help. You'll see now that we've got a cookie banner because there are different cookie compliance requirements across different countries in the EU. And all of this is managed directly just through configuration. But when we go to pre-order, you'll see that it's all in euros, right? So every store in StoreConnect can have its own currency. And then on top of that, every store can have its own payment provider. And what that means is the normal way you do this is you would have like Stripe in the US. And then when you launch the Canadian store, you'd use the same Stripe account, but you just tell it to go in Canadian dollars. The problem with that is during checkout, the money gets converted to a USD and banked in America. And then your Canadian entity has to then somehow backtrack that money, figure out the tax, figure out the compliance, rehome that currency, and then maybe bring it back into America again. So what we can do is for every store, you could have a different payment provider. So in Switzerland, you might need to use a Swiss SCA compliant payment provider, which is different from a USA one. We can totally do that. And if your payment provider is not currently on this list of payment providers, we can add it for a one-time fee, and it usually takes us a couple of months. So quite often we'll get clients come to us and say, hi, we're a nonprofit. We use paybynonprofit.com, and we have to use that. It's in our charter because they're a big donor of our organization. We can't shift. We'll then actually go and implement that integration with that payment provider. So we don't stand in between you and your payment provider. You bring your own payment provider. You can negotiate your own discounts, all of that. But good, tough question. I like the tough questions. Oh, let me show you something else. I totally forgot to do this. This is cool. This is actually one of the things I love most about what I can do on StoreConnect. So say we want to change this text. I did just show that before. So we're just going to come in here and we're going to search for that text. There it is. We'll come into the content. We're going to go here and we're going to edit it and take that out and hit save. That's done. We've now changed that text. This is included on our homepage. We can see all the various content blocks in our homepage and edit that. But if we come back over here and reload this page, that's going to be changed in just a second. Come on, there you go, boom. But that's a very brute force sort of way to do it. The other way we can do it is we can come into our StoreConnect navigation, go to the store, go to the All Stores, go to our booth store, and just click the website builder. And that's going to launch the entire website in edit mode. And this then allows us to go in and actually make edits on the site. So we'll maybe go all complex commerce simplified. We're going to change our hero image here to be something else, and we'll apply the change. We can go and move content blocks around and do all of the things that you would normally expect. Now, one of the things when we submit this change, we can view it in different sizes. We can go in and we can change JavaScript settings and SEO data and all that sort of stuff. But what you'll see is when we submit the change, it actually reverts. It'll go back to what it was. And the reason for that is we've actually built in a change management system in here where someone has to come in and click on the content changes and then come in and approve this and move it to a published state and even set the date that they want this to go live. So if you approve it with no date, it just goes live instantly. If you put a date, it'll delay that until that time to go live, which means Gordon doesn't have to sit there at 11:59 p.m. waiting for the clock to tick over to hit go on the change. And now that's updated, we can come over here and refresh, and that will be live on the website because we just did that change. So that's everything I've shown you today is all inclusive within StoreConnect. One of the other things about Genevieve is she is in the Bay Area, so reach out to her. She's our BDM. She's available. She just put her email in the chat, and we're more than interested to answer any questions you have. And our mantra on our website is ask us your toughest questions, because we usually have a solution, which is pretty fun. And with that, I'll hand the floor over to questions, which we just got an awesome one. Can you show hide pieces of content so you don't have to overwrite anything? We have an annual application cycle. We have to, yeah, no, absolutely. You can do that. So you can, within the content blocks within the website, we might be on the home page. So let me just open up the home page. I'll go to the booth store. It's probably just easier. Go to content. We'll go to the CMS and the home page. So these are all just record associations, right? So if I didn't want this piece of content there, there could be a couple of ways that I can do that. I can look at that record association within this, and I could change it to something else, or I could just go ahead and delete the record association. And now that's not on the website anymore, right? So if I wanted to add that back in, I just go and create that plans record association again and put that in the right position, 45, wherever it was, and hit save, and now that's back. So not only can you do that manually, but you could set up a trigger to do that. Like you could, we've had clients who change their website based on user activity on the website, where someone's buying a lot of Steve plushies. We're now going to move that to the homepage and put it right at the front, because that's the most commonly ordered item. And all of that's just automated with Salesforce, because you're just editing records and associations. So that's something that's very, very useful. You can also turn off whole pages if you want to just hide them. You can unpublish them, which makes them only visible if you're logged into Salesforce and can view it. And that also automatically removes it from things like sitemaps and Google merchant feeds and Facebook merchant feeds, which are all included with StoreConnect as well. So very powerful along that aspect. But great question. Especially with those things that, are regular, like what Amy was saying, it only happens from this point to this point. Then you can preset all of that within Salesforce via a flow or via a trigger, and just have it so that it turns on at exact time and it turns off at an exact time. Any other questions?
Michael,
Gordon wanting to do something, yeah.
Yeah, I have a question about I think the licensing that you were all mentioning in the beginning. So obviously to me, this feels like it's almost like what Experience Cloud should be.
Thank you.
For the licensing part, though, it seems like if we want our users to have an authenticated experience, we still have to go through Salesforce for the licensing model on that.
You don't. I mean, you can. If you want them to have single sign-on, you're still going to need an Experience Cloud single sign-on key. You don't have to use an Experience Cloud login. You can use Salesforce identities, which is quite a lot cheaper if you don't actually need an Experience Cloud login. And they're like cents on the dollar. They're quite cheap. But if you don't actually need them to sign into Salesforce, then you can use StoreConnect authentication, which then requires no Salesforce side. And then what happens is the username and password is set just on the account. So if I go look up Mikel Lindsaar in the Salesforce org and find him, you'll see that we've got the password and email information is not on my page layout, but it would be on here. Where we can find all of that. And you can also see here that I can go and log into the booth store as Mikel. So I can click that link and sign into StoreConnect as that person, as that contact as well. But all of the password information, if you don't use Experience Cloud, can be on StoreConnect. But we can also integrate with Active Directory or Azure or other single sign-on solutions as well. So you don't have to.
Gotcha. Okay. But if we want to give them
the reason
level of access.
Yeah, the reason you use Experience Cloud, there's two current reasons that people use Experience Cloud. The first one is the valid one, which is I want to give my non-affiliated, my non-member people, like people that don't work for my organization, access to the complex logic and data that's within Salesforce, right? That's really what Experience Cloud is for, and screen flows and all that sort of stuff. The second use case that a lot of people use Experience Cloud for is what I call the grudge purchase, which is I need a way to authenticate users, and I have to sort of use Experience Cloud for that. If you're just on the second case, the reason to have it sort of drops away. If you need people signing in and using screen flows, definitely you would need to keep Experience Cloud. But if you're in a halfway house where you just need people to update their profile, maybe their credit card information, things like that. So if we go into here, into StoreConnect and go into the orders, actually I'll do it in the nonprofit one. We go into here and go into our subscriptions, our recurring donations. You know, if we want to change the credit card on this, we just do it in StoreConnect. There's no need to go and create an Experience Cloud for this. And if there's any contact, any information here on the account that doesn't currently exist that you want to pull in from Salesforce, we have something called custom fields in StoreConnect where you can tell us to synchronize across additional data from Salesforce that's on the contact record on any field that you have. That's how I did that funding goal and funding amount change. So if you had some content like a birthday or member since date or number of events attended or even a complex block of JSON as an object that you wanted to embed on a contact and then loop over that within Liquid and show this complex map of all of their relationships and everything, you can do that with StoreConnect. So that, you know, removes some of the need for Experience Cloud. And what that actually helps do from a Salesforce point of view is you might be able to free up some of that wallet that you're spending on Experience Cloud and then pour it into digital engagement or Einstein or Marketing Cloud or something that's really going to drive revenue for the organization. And quite often we have that conversation with our Salesforce friends and AEs, because one of the really cool things about StoreConnect is more than 50% or about 50% now of our customers are net new logos to Salesforce. So they actually buy StoreConnect and Salesforce together as their total solution. And we've actually had customers tell people at Salesforce the only reason we're buying Salesforce is StoreConnect, which is a bizarre world for me to be in because our system only works on Salesforce.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really powerful like that.
So I just want to make sure I understand this. So let me ask this another way. So if you're a brand new customer, could you essentially have StoreConnect and have, you know, and make use of all these features with like the donation and the stores and things like that without them ever needing an Experience Cloud license to access
Correct.
that data? Like it all just be within StoreConnect. But if
Yep.
you're an existing customer of Salesforce, where let's say like you have, you know, 2 years of donation history, and that stuff isn't tied to StoreConnect, that would most likely need a Experience Cloud license if they want
No,
them.
not necessarily. You could, so if all that donation history is in there and you install StoreConnect, you'd probably work with one of our partners if you didn't have these skills internally. But then you just wire up that donation history into order records, and then that would all appear on the StoreConnect dashboard.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Again, the only real reason you would need an Experience Cloud license is if you wanted to offer a signed-in experience with a specific screen flow, and you've already invested a lot of work into that. Even if they just need to do one screen flow, you could actually just embed that on a StoreConnect web page with a Lightning Out component, and that works, you know. And we could even authenticate that and make sure that it's the right user using it without going into Experience Cloud licenses. But we've had clients sign up for a P10 license on Salesforce free, getting their 10 free nonprofit licenses and StoreConnect, and that's all they've needed to run their entire donation membership website, content, the whole thing. And then as they've grown, they've then started naturally bolting on other Salesforce products that actually make sense. You know, marketing on core, digital engagement, Agent Force, Service Cloud, Field Service, whatever it is that grows that into the behemoth that it can be. But the thing they most like about it is that there's only one screen they have to log into in the morning to do everything in their company or their organization. You know, they're not having to remember the WordPress password to change the website. Any other questions?
Hi, it's Amy. I've got one more question.
Go.
I was just wondering if it's possible in StoreConnect to display like a list from, so for example, we help support schools and we have a dashboard currently for our schools on another platform, and the dashboard, they click the link, they see it, and then they see all the students who have applied to us for their scholarships for their school. And then from there, they can click various things per student to submit information that we need. But we pull, and all of it's in Salesforce and in PSP.
Nice.
Yeah, can StoreConnect pull a list based on a specific account?
Yeah.
Yay.
So there's a couple of workarounds, like a couple of ways to do that, depending on how big that list is. You know, if it's like millions of records, there'd be some pretty serious workarounds. But if it's like hundreds or thousands, we could do that in a very straightforward manner and create that as a page. And then just on the account page here, it would add a new menu item called students. You click on that, and then StoreConnect could query Salesforce directly within the request and just create that list. And then as you're creating that list, that's just using HTML and Liquid for all the templates that are being created. So then you put the links in to go to the next thing that you want it to do and show that content and do more queries. All of that is absolutely possible with StoreConnect. We can do live queries of the Salesforce database during the page load and during the rendering of the pages. So even if that changed, like if that student disappeared between clicking it and showing it, it would actually come off and show an error page or redirect them or whatever. So all of that's live in 2 directions and would work quite happily. We have another feature coming out in about 3 months, maybe 6, which is called custom objects. So StoreConnect allows you currently to synchronize custom fields on any object that we already synchronize. But custom objects will allow you to synchronize any object in Salesforce. So you could say something like, I want to synchronize all the knowledge items and have a super blinding fast help website. You know, these are all the standard objects that we synchronize, and then all of our custom objects under it. And in that sort of situation, Amy, probably what we do is on the account record, we would create a custom field called enrolled students _C, and we'd make that a long text area. And in that, we would put an array of all the students that are associated with that account that would be updated via a Salesforce trigger. And we just keep that up to date, and then that signs up on the website. But totally doable.
Gotcha. And so would that menu change that? So I'm just trying to think, because it's based on students based on school year. So every year we update the dashboard to reference the current school year. So I'm assuming that would just be built into the trigger, like you were saying.
Yeah, that's right.
Or the correct students for that school year.
Yeah, and if those are sort of permanent records, you could even make a custom field per school year until we bring the custom objects in, and then we would delete all those custom fields and we just migrate you straight to custom objects, and then you're just doing direct queries of that data.
Awesome.
You know, I mean, setting up a custom object or custom field in StoreConnect is like this, right? So we go to custom mappings. Where are we? Custom, there we are, data mapping. And you come in here and I'll open an existing one. So this funding goal one that I mentioned before is just on the product 2 record. I want to synchronize that field over. And as soon as you enable this, it takes a few minutes depending on how much data you've got. But this record then becomes available within StoreConnect for use and modification. And if we go and have a look at funding goal _C, there's the content block that's got it. And we go look at the content. You can see that this content, I've got a whole bunch of, this is not the way you would do it in a production system. This is me hacking it together in half an hour. So I've just put all the style sheets and everything within. But you can see down the bottom here, all that I'm doing is up the top, I'm setting some variables. So we're going, the amount is the current product, data, funded amount _C, and the goal is the funding goal, and the percentage is the amount divided by the goal times 100. So I've got those variables. And then down here, I've just created a div, and I'm injecting those variables into the various parts of that site and putting the percentage up here in the thermometer, and it just works. So this is, you know, this variable here in this one is a dollar value, right? But that variable could be an object. So it could be like 2025 year, and then that is an array of students. So we have student ID, 1, and name is Joe, and that might be all you need to put on that. And then you're listing out all the students like this. And that could be a rich text area, a long text area on the record. And then in StoreConnect on the front end side, we would just loop through that like you would any loop. So very doable, and something that we could definitely work with you on. Reach out. And you sound like you might be from down here.
Yeah. Good catch. Yeah, I'm originally from New Zealand. I live in Oakland in California now, though. But yeah.
Lovely.